Let's see how to even introduce this next story. It's become a popular talking point now that we are 20-ish days or so into the Russian invasion of Ukraine. It's become a popular talking point for defenders of the former president Donald Trump to say Putin didn't do this under Trump. He's doing this under Joe Biden because Trump was strong and Putin respected Trump, whereas Biden is weak and Vladimir Putin does not respect Joe Biden. And when in the past I've talked about this, I've said to you, that's speculative. That's completely speculative. Trump has never been seen as particularly strong by any world leader. And Russia and Putin preferred Trump over Hillary. So it doesn't really make sense that Russia would prefer the stronger person. They would probably prefer the weaker person. It just sort of makes sense. So it was kind of a speculative claim. And when I came to you and talked to you about it, and I said, sirs and ma'ams, and I said, that's speculative. And if we want to speculate, it's much more plausible to me that the reason Russia didn't invade Ukraine under Trump was because Russia didn't feel the need, because generally they were more pleased with what the international community spotlighted on the United States was doing with regard to Russia at the time. They're both speculative, but one conforms to the facts much more closely. Now, you can even go further in that analysis and say it's not even really true that Russia did nothing to Ukraine when Trump was president, because they maintained their presence in the Donetsk and Luhansk and continued supporting the separatists there. Okay, so it's like not even really true, but among speculation, it made more sense that the reason Putin didn't do more when Trump was president was because he didn't really feel that he needed to, because he was more pleased with Trump as president. Okay, we now have a new perspective, and it comes from Donald Trump's own former national security advisor, John Bolton. And John Bolton says Putin saw Trump doing a lot of his work for him, so he chose not to invade Ukraine. Bolton's opinion matches much of our speculation. Business Insider goes on to say, Trump considered withdrawing the U.S. from NATO while he was president. That's something that is very, Putin likes that. Bolton said it's one of the reasons that Putin did not invade Ukraine during Trump's time in office. And it really makes perfect sense. This was our suspicion, and it makes a lot of sense. Now, I think I would be doing an incomplete discussion of this if I didn't mention John Bolton. Bolton's despicable, of course. And I know that the revolutionary left, anytime you say, hey, the CIA says this or Bolton said that, they say, you corporatist establishment stooge believing what these people say uncritically. No, we're not doing that. It's natural and correct to see John Bolton as a despicable person, one of the great architects of the war in Iraq in 2003. All of it. Of course, of course, of course. And he screwed around during the impeachment. He could have testified, but he opted not to. And he has personal knowledge of how disastrous Trump was. And now all of a sudden, he's sort of like giving us the goods. But at the same time, you can understand that reality about John Bolton and still recognize that what he's saying matches up with much of what was publicly known, and it conforms to common sense as well. Both can be true. And so I am not someone who uncritically accepts anything that horrible neocon former Trump employees say, but I believe that it's completely plausible what Bolton is saying, and it really makes a lot of sense, and it was our sense from the beginning. Is Bolton a good guy? No. But why would he lie about this specifically? I don't really know. I don't really know. He's certainly a war hawk opportunist, piece of crap who has repeatedly lobbied the U.S. to go to war with Iran, and he looks out for himself, his financial interests, etc. I just don't think he's lying here. I think what he's saying makes perfect sense. He's been an enabler. He's laid cover for a corrupt war in Iraq and all of these different things. But we suspected that that explanation made at least more sense than Don Jr.'s explanation that Daddy's so strong that Vladdy didn't invade. That explanation did not make any sense because Trump was not strong. And in fact, you have to look only at the sanctions. I mean, Hillary Clinton has been sanctioned and banned by Putin and Russia. She's not president, or she's not doing anything right now. And Trump's not on that sanction list. So the evidence all points to what John Bolton happens to be saying. If you disagree with his assessment, by all means, I want to hear from you. And you can find me on Twitter at @dpacman. Let me know your thoughts. One of our sponsors is called Privacy. Privacy is a totally free service that I've been using for years. Privacy lets me create virtual payment cards with one click. And when I use the virtual card, the money is taken out of my bank account. You can create multiple cards, delete them, freeze them, set a spending limit on them. Let's say I'm signing up for a free trial and it requires a credit card. Privacy will autofill a virtual card number. And then after signing up, I can delete that virtual card. So I know I'm not going to be charged again. Something really useful and very practical. Or let's say I'm ordering food over the phone, but I left my wallet somewhere. I don't have my real credit card on me. I can use a virtual card on my Privacy mobile app. But really the best part is you're not out there exposing your real credit card number, so you're not as susceptible to data breaches and identity theft. Privacy is a totally free service, and you'll get $5 to spend when you go to privacy.com/Pacman. The link is right underneath this video.